What up, y'all? It's your boy Link, and I'm back with another reaction. This time I'm reacting to 15 most dangerous national phenomena in the world, part 2. Part 2. I'm gonna have to do part 1 later, but yeah. So we're gonna do part 2, and let's see what's going on.
Reminding, we've compiled a list. As our planet wildly veers from one man-made catastrophe to the next, it can be easy to forget that Mother Nature is the deadliest force on our planet.
So easy.
But, just in case you needed reminding, we've compiled a list of horrifying natural threats to humanity. From tornadoes to big ice-based explosions of gas, let's take a look at the 15 most...
Before we start, what's the worst phenom you would not want to be in? Which one would you, out of all of them, not want to be in the most? Lava, tornado, tsunami, earthquake, whatever the other ones are. Which one could you not handle? Let me know in the comment section.
Most dangerous natural phenomena in the world. Number 15. Tornadoes.
Oh, hell no.
I don't have to do too much explaining on this one, right? We've all seen The Wizard of Oz. We all know that a tornado can drop a house on an otherwise unsuspecting and potential...
Look at that shit. Got me fucked up. Nope, not the link. Nope, not the link. If you live anywhere where it's shit like this, I will never come visit you. You're gonna have to come to Cali. Straight up.
Potentially innocent witch, and come on, what kind of a way to go is that? There are actually many different types of tornadoes, all of which are equally destructive and dangerous. From
even that little baby tornado I can't do.
Rope tornadoes to cone tornadoes, wedge tornadoes, multi-vortex or satellite tornadoes, and even waterspouts, this is one of the most destructive forces of nature you'll ever see on our planet. I mean, I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but one of these things literally dropped the house on a witch. That's about as dangerous as it comes. But witch murderers aside, tornadoes have long been known as one of the deadliest natural phenomena in the world, responsible for the destruction of many communities across the United States and abroad. While some people get a rush from chasing tornadoes, most...
Why the fuck would you chase a tornado? What do you get out of that other than being pretty close to dying? Stupid.
People are wise enough to know that these things are incredibly dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. But, you know, if you're looking for a way to be as stupid as possible, tornado chasing is a worthy pastime. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
We'll do the same thing with this channel. There's gonna be 2 of them in your face.
Number 14. Giant permafrost explosions. Who among us hasn't slipped and fallen on ice? Penguins? They're not even people. Anyway, frost is pretty bad, but permafrost is actually more dangerous, believe it or not. And not because you may or may not slip on it. Permafrost is any ground that
What's the difference between your lawn and a sugar lawn?
My bad, y'all.
Remains frozen for 2 or more years straight. But of course, when the ground freezes, that doesn't mean everything beneath the surface does too. And that's why it's so dangerous. In some areas of the world, pockets of methane below the frozen surface continue to increase in pressure until they eventually explode. When they ultimately blow, they leave huge craters, often measuring up to 100 feet in width, and sending ice and soil flying. If you happened to be on top of the crater when it blew up, well, you probably wouldn't live to tell the tale. That's just...
Imagine that, you just chilling. All of a sudden, the whole ground under you just blow up. Because you was standing on a damn methane frozen, what that nigga just said. Next thing you know, your ass blew up. Thought you was out there taking pictures or walking a dog or whatever. And that shit happens. And if you do survive, you end up at the bottom of that bitch. They said it'd be like 100 feet. Hope you got your climbing shoes on.
Just how powerful this gas is. These giant
Never mind. You got gas. You ain't making it.
permafrost explosions are thankfully pretty rare, but they're not entirely uncommon. Typically they occur in the colder regions of the world, such as the Arctic or Siberia. So if you happen to live in a rural area of the United States, you shouldn't be too concerned about this one. Thankfully, we have a whole list of things you should be concerned about, so that's fun. Number 13. Limnic eruptions. Unless you're an expert in horrifying natural phenomena, you probably don't know a whole lot about limnic eruptions. But you probably should know about them because the gas these eruptions eject is somehow even worse than that of your crazy uncle after a turkey dinner. A limnic eruption is what happens when dissolved carbon dioxide erupts from deep lake waters. The sudden eruption forms a toxic gas cloud that can suffocate wildlife, livestock, and, yes, humans. So, that's definitely something to know and be concerned about, especially when you discover that they're practically caused by earthquakes and other explosive events. Thankfully, limnic eruptions are relatively rare, but that doesn't lessen the severe consequences and impact that these eruptions can have on our planet's natural ecosystem. A 1986 eruption at Lake Nyos in Cameroon killed almost everybody in a nearby village, with many victims found with blisters on their skin. To this day, it's considered one of the most brutal natural disasters in Africa's history. Most of us will...
Can't go to Cameroon. They got shit like that going on. I was looking it up too. Nope. Lakes blowing up and shit.
We'll never have to experience the horror of a limnic eruption, but according to scientists, the increasing rate of climate change makes these natural disasters all the more likely. So you better learn to appreciate your uncle.
Well, this is a good time to throw in my little shit. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the post notification.
Those crazy eruptions, it may well be one of the better scents on our planet. Number 12. Solar flares. Some people claim that if you happen to witness a solar flare, you will develop superpowers. Scientists have been unable to prove or disprove that claim despite the evidence provided in the Marvel comic books, but we do know that solar flares are surprisingly dangerous, and they apparently have nothing to do with the pants from the 1960s or 70s. A solar flare is a sudden flash of heightened brightness on the sun. But of course, it's not just about what can be seen. In fact, solar flares are famously one of the most dangerous natural phenomena for our astronauts and space equipment.
I was just about to say, who the fuck has actually been close enough to see that shit? For real.
These flares pose a significant radiation threat to spacecraft and astronauts, with the protons capable of passing through the human body and dealing a great deal of biochemical damage. The major solar flares are often accompanied by coronal mass ejections, which have been known to trigger geomagnetic storms that can disable satellites and knock out electric power grids for a while. All of this may sound like the plot of some obscure 1980s science fiction movie, and it probably is, but it's also a very real threat, not unlike the Terminator. However, unlike the Terminator, there is no way to defeat the sun. Elon Musk made sure of that. Number 11. Firenado. First, there was the Sharknado, then there were 5 more Sharknados, but we prefer to focus on more absurd natural phenomena.
A firenado. As if a regular tornado ain't bad enough.
Than tornadoes made of sharks. Like, for instance, the Firenado. We're talking about the actual tornado made of fire, not a sandwich. That's for another video. The firenado is often incited by a fire, which then creates a whirlwind made up of fire or ash. When they get large enough, the vortex at the heart of the fire column begins to suck in debris and combustible gases, making for a rotating tinderbox of chaos. And, as if that...
Where do you have to live for this to happen? And why do they let people live there?
Weren't bad enough, the largest firenadoes are usually incited by wildfires, which, as we all know, tend to happen quite a lot. So you can imagine how dangerous a 164-foot tall plume of fire in the middle of a burning forest would be. It's really no surprise that these things have been named one of the...
Damn. I'm gonna throw it out there again.
If you're a tech lover, you should check out Capital One Shopping, especially if you're always at Best Buy looking for the new Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. Capital One Shopping automatically applies coupon codes at checkout and compares prices while you shop. Click this link and check it out.
Deadliest natural phenomena in the world. Unlike the Sharknado, firing bullets into the Firenado will not resolve anything. In fact, the Firenado can reach up to 1,994 degrees Fahrenheit. A bullet melts anywhere between 250 and 350 Fahrenheit. So good luck with that one. Number 10. Volcanic eruptions. Okay, surely you don't need to be told why volcanic eruptions are so dangerous. I mean, supervillains haven't used a volcano as a lair since the 1960s, because they all died out after volcanic eruption.
Look at that shit. Just look at the picture right there. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. Not a damn thing. Once it's out, that's your ass. So if you live next to a volcano and it's active, you should probably move. Because eventually... this could be you. Burnt. Fucked up. Running for your life. House destroyed.
What more evidence do you need? In case you need a little more evidence, allow me to provide. Volcanoes are basically just big vents in the Earth's crust, known for ejecting a whole lot of hot, dangerous gas, ash, lava, and rock that can cause an incredible amount of chaos. We all know the story of Pompeii, an ancient city that was completely destroyed by the eruption of a nearby volcano. But the danger continues through to the present day, with volcanic activity causing more than 2,400 deaths.
Look at that car. That car is gone. And I don't think they got insurance for fucking volcanoes. I don't think they got it.
Between 1998 and 2017. That figure also includes the wildfires that, more often than not, are incited as a result of the eruption. But even if you're not all that afraid of volcanoes, you should be. The eruption of a volcano also has a habit of impacting climate change, erupting toxic and volcanic gases that can promote global warming or global cooling. Even their pollution isn't simple. Number 9. Avalanches. Contrary to popular belief, avalanches are...
Now this is one thing I never have to worry about, because I don't go in the snow. Ever. I've only seen snow once in my life, and that was enough for me. So I would never have this problem personally. I don't even drive to places that have snow.
Not caused by loud vocal yells, but they are just as deadly as you may have been led to believe, if not even more deadly. There are just so many ways to be killed in an avalanche that we could do a whole video on it. An avalanche is what happens when a massive amount of snow begins quickly moving down a mountain slope.
Holy shit! Oh my god!
These huge snow mounds can reach speeds of up to 80 miles per hour, making them very difficult to escape if you're unprepared. And naturally, if you happen to find yourself caught in an avalanche, you could die from suffocation, trauma, or obviously hypothermia. Which sounds sucky just in its own right, but that's before I mention that your chances of being saved are pretty low. When the snow has stopped moving, it tends to become solid like concrete, making it next to impossible to dig anybody out. The snow will basically become your coffin. Any snow expert will tell you that avalanches are not something to be underestimated. If you happen to be caught in an unsuspecting avalanche, your chances of escaping are very, very low. And you know what? That's gold.
What city?
Number 8. Landslides. If an avalanche is the worst thing that can happen to you in a snowy environment, then a landslide is the worst thing that can happen in an Earth-based environment. Well, maybe not the worst thing. An asteroid falling directly on top of you in a freak accident may be the worst thing, but it's still pretty rough.
Big ass rock. Look, the whole road is canned up.
A landslide happens when a mass of rock or debris moves down a slope in one of 5 modes. Falls, topple.
That's just as bad as an avalanche to me. Because it's still falling heavy shit that ain't supposed to be falling. Man. And dirt, I feel like it's worse because that shit is rocks. Snow is ice. You might be able to get dug out. Rocks, you're dead. You're dead. There's no saving you.
Slides, spreads, and flows. Obviously, all of them are just as bad and dangerous as one another because Mother Nature just loves to make everything as hazardous as she possibly can. Pretty much every landslide is caused by multiple factors, from rainfall to earthquakes, human disturbance, or even volcanic activity. That means it can be incredibly difficult to predict when or even if a landslide is incoming, making for a fun game of life or death chicken. I don't think I even have to say it, but
Why are people just standing there and look at the shit? It's literally right in front of your house, bitch. Like the dirt can't just skirt, and that's your shit. She's standing there like some people. She must, man. I'd have been gone. I came back a couple days later to see if the house was even there.
Well, anyway, landslides are incredibly dangerous. That they're so unpredictable only serves to make them even more hazardous, so consider that your warning. Don't go chasing landslides. Number 7. Wildfires. While they may not be the most common phenomena on...
Yeah, we get wildfires every year out here in California. Straight up, like, every year. Every single year. We get fires. It's ridiculous.
On our list, most of...
Fucking up the air. The fire don't even gotta be in your city, and literally the whole part of California is just fucked up air from the northern all the way to southern Cal.
Us will likely be very familiar with wildfires and their devastating consequences. It really doesn't take too much for these uncontrolled fires to become deadly, out-of-control disasters. 90% of wildfires are started by humans and escalated by natural conditions. But that other 10% covers wildfires incited by nature, specifically lightning strikes. For context, lightning strikes the Earth over 100,000 times every single day, with little effect for the most part. However, 10 to 20% of those strikes can easily start a fire if they happen to strike a dry or otherwise primed area, such as a land suffering through a drought. And as we've all seen time and time again, wildfires get out of control very quickly, often resulting in the tragic loss of life and property. Statistics show that an average of 1.2 million acres of U.S. woodland burns every year due to out-of-control wildfires. And because wildfires are so difficult to extinguish, the whole ordeal can quickly escalate.
Big news.
I was told by my orthopedic surgeon that I needed
to a potentially catastrophic...
I might need to get that YouTube Plus or whatever. Skip the ads.
And life-threatening natural disaster. So to sum it up, this fire is not lit. No, wait, it is lit, but it's not lit. That doesn't sound right. Number 6. Floods. Not all floods are alike, but all floods can be deadly. Whether it's just a few inches or several feet of water, every scenario poses its own unique threats, and none of them should be underestimated. After all, flooding is the most common severe weather event in the world.
They showed us death right now.
There are 5 types of floods, according to the National Severe Storms Laboratory. These are river floods, coastal floods, storm surges, inland flooding, and flash floods. None of them are better or worse than the others. They're all incredibly dangerous in their own ways. Not only is flooding the most common severe weather event in the world, but it's also the #1 killer of all the weather events. It actually only takes 6 inches of water to wash a person away, which means anything bigger really doesn't offer much hope for potential victims of flooding. Between 2010 and 2018, the National Weather Service recorded hundreds of deaths in the United States due to flooding. In Texas alone, that 8-year period resulted in 212 fatalities.
Damn, you see that car floating by in the water? Man, floods is no joke. Especially if you old or if you can't swim or you live somewhere like Florida or Louisiana where they got alligators and all that extra shit in the water, fucking snakes and shit. It's not looking good for you. Damn.
So, to sum it up, if you're not already afraid of water after seeing Jaws, you probably should be.
Look at that.
Number 5. Blizzards. Most natural phenomena can be summed up as a storm, but worse. That also sums up the blizzard, which is basically storm, but snow. Okay, that's a little bit of an understatement, but not a whole lot. Blizzards are undeniably on the severe end of the storm scale, and are incredibly deadly for many reasons. The official definition is a severe snowstorm, with winds reaching up to and exceeding 35 miles per hour, with a visibility less than a quarter mile for 3 hours. That's a very wordy way of saying a very windy snowstorm, where you can barely see your hand before your face.
Damn. I don't know. I think I'd rather have a blizzard than any of the other ones, than a volcano or a fucking flood or a fucking fire tornado or... I don't know about the landslide. The landslide's still pretty bad. But this don't seem that bad. As long as you somewhere in your house, it looks like you might be alright depending on how much snow you get. But if you get caught lacking in the streets and one pop off, hey, you better find your... Hey, you better go somewhere. You're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be fucking ice casket.
If you happen to get caught in the middle of a blizzard, there's not much you can do. Experts strongly discourage traveling by car during a blizzard, as this makes the likelihood of death by hypothermia or accidents significantly higher. So basically, if you get stuck in a blizzard, just accept your fate. That's fun. There are many resources online that can help you prepare in the instance of a blizzard, but they all seem to agree on the same thing, being caught in one.
Let me know if you live somewhere where you guys have blizzards or something like that. Let me know what that was like in the comment section.
One is not good. You're always better to stay home with your blankets and warmth. But, you know, we could say that about everything. Who the hell wants to get caught in a flood, right? Number 4. Earthquakes. It's an age-old trope.
Yeah, that's what I'm used to right there. Them good old earthquakes. You know how California do. We got earthquakes all the goddamn time. But it's not that bad. Most people, you know, from other states, I hear them talk about earthquakes are scary and all that. No, all that other shit, tornadoes and all that other shit y'all got, that's scary. Earthquake, it's not that bad. For real.
Of science fiction, the ground shakes, opens up, and releases. Worried about starting down hordes of ugly, misshapen troll men to wreak havoc on our planet? Feel free to add your own interpretation to that image, but we're focusing exclusively on the earthquake element because, well, we'd get in trouble if we focused on the misshapen troll men. When 2 blocks of the earth suddenly slip past one another, that causes an earthquake. This concludes our science lesson class. No, I'm kidding. That's a highly simplistic definition of what happens, and we have to elaborate on some of the more dangerous consequences of earthquakes, which, of course, includes death. Because there is no way for scientists to predict when an earthquake may occur, it's pretty much always an unpleasant surprise. Naturally, that leads to many people being unprepared.
A tip, if you've never been in an earthquake, Get your ass outside. But not outside next to some water. If you live on a coast or something like that, hey, expect a tsunami or some shit. But if you anybody else, if you live somewhere regular and it's an earthquake, get your ass outside. And try to stand next to a building that's not hella tall in case buildings start falling. Straight up.
Which then leads to some unfortunate situations and
if you're under a bridge, get the fuck from under there.
well, you know the rest. If you've seen the movie San Andreas, you know that a massive earthquake will kill everyone except for Dwayne Johnson and his family. Well, I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely accurate. Don't underestimate an earthquake. Just try to enjoy this game of natural disaster Russian roulette that we're all unwillingly playing. Number 3. Tropical cyclones. It doesn't take a genius to work out that natural disasters cause...
That's like Florida or somewhere over there. Over there. Cyclones. Man.
a lot of costly damage, but even then, tropical cyclones are something else. These are the biggest threats to life in our natural world, no matter how developed they are. The phenomenon begins when a rapidly rotating storm originates over a tropical ocean, drawing energy to create a huge mighty cyclone. Soon you have violent winds, high waves, torrential rain, and potentially destructive storm surges. So is it really a surprise that this...
So is a cyclone and a hurricane the same thing? Or are they two different kinds of things? Somebody let me know in the comment section, because I'm confused.
This is one of the most deadly and costly natural weather phenomena. Over the last 50 years, this single phenomenon has been responsible for 1,942 disasters, killing over 779,000 people and causing over $1 billion in damages.
Right,
so yeah, I guess it's pretty deadly when you stop and think about it. That's why they give them names, I guess. Just because these cyclones tend to originate in the middle of tropical waters, this is not in any way a safe or harmless natural phenomenon. On the contrary, when these cyclones make land, they come...
At Enterprise Car Sales, you're in the driver's seat. From here to here.
Cause a huge amount of damage. That $1 billion bill don't lie. Number 2. Heat waves. As climate change continues to spiral out of control, our world is experiencing more unpredictable heat waves. And while it may feel kind of silly to suggest that a heat...
What would you guys rather have, a heat wave or a blizzard? Which one? Let me know.
Heat wave is as dangerous as, say, an avalanche. It's absolutely true. Heat waves are incredibly dangerous and often prove fatal. Between 1998 and 2017, over 166,000 people died as a result of heat waves. Of that number, 70,000 died due to a single heat wave, the 2003 Europe heat wave, the hottest heat wave on record since 1540. Heat waves are especially dangerous due to the prolonged...
See? I just learned something. I didn't know there was a heat wave over there like that. See, you learn shit on this channel.
Exposure to the intense heat, often with hundreds of millions of people exposed in every instance. And when millions of people are affected by heat-related symptoms, health and
Man, y'all remember, the good old days when we used to be able to go outside in groups before COVID? Is it 19? How old is COVID now? 2021? However old COVID is now. Man, you remember the good old days? You used to be able to go to the beach, you used to be able to go places, kick it with people, go to restaurants. And we would have all that back if, certain groups of people actually wore their goddamn mask the first time around when it got first brought up. But that's another video. That's a whole nother discussion, man.
Emergency services become strained, as do our food and drink resources. If you were one of those scoffing at a heat wave being included on this list, Who's laughing now? Probably still you, actually. Heat waves have a much wider impact than most of us really recognize. While they're obviously uncomfortable and difficult for everybody, some struggle more than others, and the after effects of a simple heat wave can prove devastating, so just remember climate change is very, very real. It's the Animaniacs that are fake. Number 1. Drought. You probably think you know what a drought is. You're probably wrong. Apparently the very word drought is open to interpretation, depending on who you are. Farmers consider it in terms of a lack of water for crops. Meteorologists think of it in terms of a period of lower than normal precipitation. It's basically just a Rorschach test for people who like water. Despite the widely differing interpretations of the word, droughts are among the world's most dangerous natural phenomena. Even the most minor droughts can have a hazardous impact on our lives. A lack of water for crops result in strained food resources or dead crops, which will affect all of us in multiple ways. A more significant drought can result in water levels drying up, resulting in difficulties with the water supply, killing many people in impoverished countries. So drought is a lot more than simply a lack of water. It's the catalyst for a chain reaction of events that could ultimately result.
California homeowners, if you are sick of paying too much money for electric bills, and you have a meter that looks like this and you're
in dangerous situations for many people. Droughts typically happen in hotter areas of the world, though nowhere is really immune to the phenomenon, which puts us all at some risk, especially since these dry periods can last for 10 years or more, so you better stock up on some Evian water, kiddo. You never know. Have you ever experienced any of these natural phenomena yourself? Let us know in the comments. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.
Alright, y'all. So let me know, you know what I mean, if you've been through any of them natural phenoms, you know, them dangerous ones. Any of the ones we just saw, any of the 15. Me personally, over here, we have 4 of the 15. And it's the ones that's not so bad. So, you know. Let me know in the comment section what you guys have, wherever you live at. So, you know. Yeah, and what video am I gonna do next? I might react to some RDC World 1 or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll holler at y'all. Yeah.